Okay, I've got the cord strand up here, or keeper strand connected. Now I've laid the belly strands out already. I've already cut them out. Here's where we're going to need a piece of paper and a pencil. Alright, you're going to cut 5 cords. Alright, and they're going to be, if you have coreless, you're good to go. If not, you're going to have to cut them and then pull the strands out. First cord is 36 inches. Second cord, 84 inches. Third cord, you're going to cut, it'll be 100 inches. The fourth's 112, and the fifth is 144 or 12 feet. Now, these are going to be longer than what you need. All right, you might even want to cut them a little longer. These aren't going to be precise. You're going to plait differently than I will. I'm going to have some waste here when I'm done. You probably will too. You can work that out later. And use less and cut them shorter and work it out to precisely what you're going to use if you want to do that. I always eyeball it. That's why it's kind of difficult for me to get these measurements, because I just look at it and cut it and it works. You'll probably get to where you do that too. But that's what you're going to have. 5. We're going to do a 10 plait belly. Okay. Now we're going to connect our strand of shot to the keeper cords here. We're not just going to loop them over and tie them on, because it's going to make a big old knot, and you don't want to have that. So I've got my laces here laid out. Now you'll notice what I did when I laid them out, all 5 of them, I made them just a little bit, let one hang a little lower than the other, a few inches here, and I did that with all of them. I like to have my longer piece hanging on the left. That's just me. You can do them to the right, mix them up, whatever, I guess. I always do them like that, all the way down, except for the last one. Those are equal, because that's where you're going to end your taper and twist. So we've got our 5. The reason why I'm doing 5, that would be a 10 plait belly and not a 6 or a 12 plait belly, is because this sinker cord with the BBs is much fatter than just a piece of regular nylon cord with some BBs in it. So I've reduced the number of my plait count here because this is going to be a little fatter. So the way I connect this is not with a knot, but I lay it up here like this, where the end of the BBs come up to the bottom, right here, okay? I stretch this up, get it right about where it needs to be. I hold it there. I take my handy hemostat, and I just clamp it on, okay? Just like that. And it's not real pretty at first. Then we're going to start. I'll take my first strand, go around like this, and around the strand of shot there. Go under 3 over 2. Take my second one, take it around the shot strand there, the core, under 3 over 2. And I just keep doing that. Go ahead and start plaiting like you would normally, under 3 over 2. Making sure it's good and tight. You just want it to be nice and tight up here. Everything's going to be there solid. Again, under 3 over 2. Your plaiting technique may be a little different than mine. Probably is. I noticed that I don't plait the way other people do that I've seen in videos plaiting and on YouTube, and that's perfectly fine. Do what works is my motto. Okay. I'm using black and tan here, just to maybe make a little contrast for you where you can see the plaits, and where it'll show up a little better, hopefully. Plaiting around. As you can see, I'm not plaiting from a vise. I'm plaiting from the doorway here, or what we commonly refer to it as plaiting from a hook. Of course, there's no hook. That's what we call it. Not a lot of whip makers do this anymore that I know of. A lot of guys use vices, but with a cow whip, you don't have to have a vise. If you watch what you're doing, your plaiting will be straight. Okay, now that we're just going to leave that hanging free there for a while. It's all solid, secure. It's not going to come out. Now that excess right there, we're going to deal with that in a little bit. And what you're going to do is you'll start your 10 plait here, making sure it's nice and tight. Get your 10 plait going, and you're going to plait down to your first drop at 9 inches. Your second drop is going to be at 12 inches. Alright? So just keep on plaiting. and I'm going to pick it up here in just a few minutes when we start our drops and show you the way we do that. Now I've been plaiting down with the 10 plait down around 6 inches right here. I just measure it just like that with a yardstick. I'm going to keep on plaiting. Just trying to make even tension on either side, on both sides. I'm going to drop this short strand on the right when I get to 9 inches. So we're just going to keep plaiting down. You notice I'm pulling, but I'm not like trying to put all my weight into it or anything like that. I think you can just, it might be overkill. I just put a nice, good tight tension on it. Don't try to get too carried away with it. I have seen nylon whips before that were plaited so tightly you just absolutely could hardly not get a good crack out of them. So you don't want it to be too floppy, but you don't want it too tight either. That's just my opinion. Now what I'm going to do when I get to 9 inches, that's where my first drop is. We're going to drop to 9 plait. I drop one at a time, alternating on each side. Get to 9, I'll show you what we're going to do. Should be getting close to it now. We're going to do the same at 12, but on the other side. Okay, we're around at 9 inches now. I keep dropping my yardstick. It's okay. Now, you might be tempted to drop the strand to the inside and plait around it. This might sound kind of revolutionary, but I don't do that at all. I let it stay out there and just let it hang, just like that. Later, what I'm going to do is when we're done with the belly, I'm going to get the wood burning tool, get it heated up, and I'm actually going to come along and just cut it right there. And it won't come undone. Just cut it where, melt it over where it won't come undone. Just try not to put too much, melt it too much, but just a little bit, just enough where it won't come undone, enough to cut it off. The reason why I do this is because I want my belly to be as smooth as possible and without any lumps. If you drop to the inside right here, right now, and plait around, you're going to have a lump on your belly that you're going to have to deal with later when you're plaiting the overlay. And once your overlay is around this, these plaits aren't going to come back out. They're going to be secure and solid, so there's nothing to worry about there. I'm going to take you through the 12 to the 12-inch point here. I'm going to do another drop. Now you can see the measurements I gave you. They don't left that much leftovers there. So far we're doing pretty good with those numbers. And if you don't plait quite as tight as me, you may not have as much left, so you might want to cut it a little longer. It's always better to have too much instead of having not enough. You want to not have to splice anything in. So we should be getting around 12 inches. I'm going to check it right quick. And we're at the 12-inch mark right now. I'm going to drop another one. We're going to go down to an 8 plait. Now this is it's the belly for a 6-foot cow whip, so the overall length of the belly is going to be 48 inches, or 4 feet. If I was plaiting around something smaller, the shot strand was smaller than this, like it used to be when I used paracord, I would actually already have had a 12 plait going, and I would have dropped at 3 inches and at 6 inches, then 9 and 12. That's just the way I was taught to do it. Okay, so I'm dropping this other short one out right here. I'm going to continue on now with an 8 plait, and you're going to go down plaiting nice as straight as you can, nice even tension. I'm going to try to have as straight a seam as possible. Even though it's the belly, you still want to try to do a good job. We're going to plait this 8 plait all the way down to 24 inches. And then we're going to start dropping again. So you're gonna come out, drop at 9, drop at 12. We're gonna plait 12 inches of 8-plait. And we're getting close to the 24-inch mark where we're going to make another drop. At 24 inches, we're going to drop from 8-plait to 7. And I'm going to drop the shortest strand here, which is going to be the right. I normally drop from on the right first, then over to the left, and just back and forth like that. So, also going to drop the same way we did earlier. Just letting it hang out to the side. I'm going to take care of it later. We're getting close to the end of the shot loaded core here that we made earlier. That's where it's going to get a little more interesting and trying to make sure that there's not very many bumps and lumps and stuff. Alright, we're at 24. I'm just going to let that one hang. Going to keep plaiting. Now we're at a 7-plait. We're going to drop again at 27. We're going to drop down to a 6 at 27, and at 30 we're going to drop again, and then at 33 we'll be making another drop. As you can tell, most of these drops are, when I start dropping, I drop every 3 inches. Now we're at a 7-plait. You see we're coming to the end of the strand of BBs here. Depending on how long you made them. If you made them shorter, you may be already reaching the end of them, or if you made them longer, you might have a lot further to go. You just keep on plaiting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and drop off film. I'm going to go ahead and make a couple drops, and I'm going to pick it back up as soon as we get down to here. Alright, we're almost at 30 inches. I went ahead and dropped at 27, more like 28, but it's okay. It's not an exact science. It doesn't have to be exact. So if you're, 26, 27, 28, somewhere in there is fine. I'm not real picky. Almost here to the end of the BBs, and we've got, this will be 30 inches. Now it's going to get kind of tricky right through here. This is where you're going to have to really worry about having a real drop down that could show up later on your overlay as you're plaiting around this. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep on plaiting my 6-plait all the way down to it. And also right in here we're going to have to drop this. We're going to need to drop a strand here shortly, somewhere in this area. So we're just going to let that one drop right there. I might take it around one more time so there's not much of a, try to keep the thing from dropping down. This is one of those things you can just kind of play around with, because on the whips I make, sometimes the strand shot's longer, sometimes it's shorter. So even when I'm doing, I have to adjust it, work with it, practice with it, take it back out, redo it, look at it, just kind of get an idea of what it's going to look like once I went past that part. So this drop's probably going to be more like 31 inches. Because like I told my son, it's kind of like on Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm talking about the Pirates Code. They're more like guidelines. This is all guidelines. It's nothing that you absolutely have to do the exact way I'm doing it. In fact, some of you are going to email me and call me and say, hey, I really like the way I do it better than the way you're doing it, and that's going to be fine. I hear that from people a lot. Again, my motto is whatever works for you is what you can do. So I've already dropped down to a 5-plait right there. Now there is look at the way it's tapered here. There is a little bit of a drop down there. It's not an abrupt drop. You don't want it to just be a real abrupt drop. It's going to be a quick drop, but just make it smooth. And that's the goal there. Some of my strands here are starting to run out, so I cut them really close. So you might want to cut yours a little longer than what I did on this part here, but we will adapt. We'll overcome. We're at a 5-plait now, around that thick piece of cord here in the center. You always want to plait around something. It's always important. So what I'm going to do when I start to drop here to a 4-plait, which I'm going to go ahead and do, it's not going to be quite every 3 inches, but it'll be okay, because I'm starting to run out of cord down here. Should have cut them a little longer. And I may not run out. I just like to have a little more than what I need here. So I'm going to actually take this short strand and I'm going to drop on the left. Get my trusty trauma shears here. We'll cut that piece of sinker cord out, just let it drop, and then I'm going to move in just a second. You know what, I'll go ahead and just let it plait around that black one. Cut it a little too quick. That's okay. I'll just plait around the black one here. And we're at a 4-plait now. I'm going to kind of pull everything nice and tight, make sure it's good and solid. We're at a 4. Again, there's been a good bit of step down from here to here, but it's smooth. And on the overlay, we'll probably be dropping strands along in here somewhere, and you really won't notice it much at all when we get there. So you always kind of got to think about what's going to be going on when you get to that particular point in your overlay. Get a quick measurement and see what we're going to have here. We're going to end our 4-plait at 36 inches. We're at 35 now. We're almost at the part here at 36 inches where we're going to stop the plaiting and go into the first of our tapering twists. The belly tapering twist is a little easier than the overlay. I'm going to do it in a more simplified method. And we'll pick that up in just a second. Alright, we're at the 4-plait. We're at 36 inches with our 4-plait. And again, I like to have a little longer than what I've got right here normally. It appears I'm better at eyeballing things than I am at trying to have them measured out and have precise measurements. That's okay. So what we're going to do, on this particular tapering twist, since it's going to be on the inside of the whip, I'm not going to worry about pulling the strands inside. Now you can do that if you want to. Nothing wrong with it. It's good. But it's just a lot more time involved to do that. So what I'm going to do is the strand you're plaiting. Remember, so you always want to plait around something. Even if it's a 4-plait, you at least want to have a piece of paracord in the center to be plaiting around. But what I'm going to do, and make sure it's good and tight, I'm just going to take the piece of paracord that's in the center. I'm going to cut it off real close, like that. Now we have nothing there. Take the top one, wrap it around to the bottom left, to the top right, wrap around to the bottom left, and the top left around to the bottom right. Hopefully, you'll have a short and a short, or a short paired with a long, and a short paired with a long here. That's what you want. So if you've got to kind of work it and take them apart and do it a couple times to get you, but this is what you want to have. You want to have a long strand with a short strand. And what we're going to do is we're going to take, and I'm holding everything right here. I'm going to take my other hand, grab these two that are together, begin to twist them clockwise, and then pull them over that way. Take these, twist them clockwise, and pull them over that way. Twist them and over. Alright. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to take that one there, I'm going to pull it up to the top like that and just get rid of it. Okay? We don't even really need that one anymore. We're going to go ahead and start tapering this twist down some. It'll be a little different on the overlay, but this will work for the belly. Continue twisting. Now this part can cramp your hands. Don't be afraid to take a break. Get your hemostat, get your clothespins, pin it up, if it starts cramping, I feel a lot of cramps right in here usually when I'm doing this and holding it. Some people have machines and different doodads that they use to do this. I still do it by hand. I just like to do it by hand. And now I'm going to go ahead and drop that one out. And drop the one out, just basically just push it up in the air like that and just keep on twisting. I've actually seen cow whips that I've worked on and I've seen people with, that this is how the maker did the taper and twist on this overlay as well. So I mean, this is an acceptable method of doing it. You would just you know, trim this off with the wood burner and make sure you melt it in such a way where it's not going to come loose. And I mean, again, I have seen whips like that. So we're going to do something a little different on the outside. Now this is going to be, this tapering twist here is going to end around 48 inches down here. You can go an inch or two longer. Again, it's always better to have a little more than not enough. I'm even going to leave the laces there that are the excess, let them hang. I'm just going to tie it off real simply here in a minute. Make sure I check my measurement. Okay, we're at 12 inches. Should be 48 overall. I'm just going to put a couple more twists on it. Just a few more twists. Then we'll take this one, loop it up around like this, kind of a half hitch I guess, pull it down like that, and just secure it, and that's going to be where we're going to end for now. And just leave that knot there, leave these hanging here. If you have some excess, just let it hang. You may, I'll show you what to do with that later. And that is how we do the belly. And we're going to, a few seconds here, we're going to trim these off, give it a roll, and set it back up for an overlay. Alright, we have the belly we just made. Alright, taking it down. Still got these little pieces hanging off of them, so what we're going to do with those? Well, that's where you get your handy wood burner, fire it up nice and hot. And what we're going to do is we're just going to cut them off. Again, the reason why I like to do that is so I don't have any lumps in my belly where I'm bringing them in and plaiting around them. And this is, you know, I don't know if anybody else does it like this or not. I don't know. This is just my way of doing things, the way I've done it for years. So the first one we're going to get rid of is the one here on the top. This was the one from our belly. It should be sticking out of the top like this. I'll just take the wood burner and just very carefully just cut it off. Just cut it off, drop it to the side, just smooth off the little rough edges if there's any. Get them smoothed off, should be good to go. Then we'll start on the next ones. Like this one here. Again, I just take it and just barely cut it off right there. Smooth the rough edges off. It's not going to go anywhere. It's sealed in there. I'm not trying to make a big melted spot or anything like that, so just be real careful. Take the next one, cut it off. We have another one here. You might want to give them a little tug, make sure they're in there tight before you cut them. This one here's. Be careful with these things, they really hurt when you touch your skin with them, trust me. So we'll cut this one here. Alright, now we're down to the ones on the taper twist. Like I said, I've seen actual whips finished like this before where they just cut them off. Okay, and that's all of them. We're still just leave these two hanging down here at the end, and your belly is now made. What you might want to do is you can give it a roll if you want to. You can roll it on the table, or you can roll it on the floor. Give it a roll, smooth it out a little bit, round it up some, and we're going to hang it back up and get ready to put an overlay on it. So I'm just going to give it a roll right here on the floor, on the carpet. I don't normally worry about doing it. I don't have a real bench to work with that I usually use for my whips, so I'll just roll them, just put a lot of weight down on them. And there's different ways of doing it. Just give it a good roll up and down it. Put some good weight onto it. Should be good to go.